What is the new normal? Young people need to be actively engaged in COVID-19 response and their own perception of building tomorrow.
So this dialogue is an opportunity to connect with each other, to share our stories and provide hope, and to get guidance from each other, because sometimes we just need a reminder that we have the ability to succeed. And most importantly, at this point in time, we need to know that we are not alone.
And so we're all trying to ensure that there's a seamless and educational platform for you as possible. And I know there have been challenges, but I know that this new norm of learning online is something that many of you have enjoyed because we technically use the technology quite a bit. But it is also different because you're not having that face-to-face interaction with your teachers and indeed your peers. And that is particularly important for young, especially as both the younger ones and also the older ones as well. So I know many of you are missing that companionship, the trips to school, you're missing the interaction with your peers, and the general communication that you have grown so accustomed to. What I think this forum will provide, as so many of the other PAHO forums have provided, is that opportunity to be able to hear your voice, to be able to hear your concerns, and as policymakers to allow us to be able to address a number of those concerns that you have expressed in this forum and that you continue to impress.
The uncertainty of COVID-19 we know can produce stress, anxiety, fear, and even boredom. And that is why it was important for us to share tips regarding mental health. Some of the tips that I will share with you now are: 1, our young people, you need to pay attention to accurate information. And accurate information can be found on PAHO's website or WHO website. Pay attention to accurate information. Also, become involved in positive activities. These can include learning a new skill such as baking or cooking, and for our students, completing your school assignments. You can also spend time with your family members, being engaged in a good game of cricket or even outdoor cooking. You can even enroll in online exercise classes. What was a hit in Nevis would have been the participation of our young people in a jingle competition relating to COVID-19. Many of our young people participated in that competition, vying for cash prizes. And it warmed my heart to see that our young people are so creative and at the same time being positively and meaningfully engaged. Of course, I want for our young people to stay healthy, to stay positive, and remember to guard, to protect, to preserve your mental health.
The pandemic also presents us an opportunity to self-assess, to reposition ourselves, our communities, our countries, and region, to innovate into a position of greater self-efficiency and resilience against the unknown but sure to come next external shock.
So, what will be the next step in reducing the current public health measures? What will be the benefits of reopening of schools? When it is safe to do so, we have to look at least 3 areas: educational attainment, the socio-economic situation, and safety and security. For educational attainment, the longer schools are closed, we will be reversing the education gain resulted for young people. The longer children stay out of school, the higher risk of non-return in some communities, and especially the communities are economically challenged. Children in schools allows also parents to work. On the other hand, many children rely on school for their nutrition, health support, example like vaccination. We have HPV vaccination and others which could be taking place in the schools. So the decision regarding when and how to reopen schools is very important. Tomorrow starts today. One of the speakers mentioned earlier, we have to do this efforts for tomorrow.
My mission in life is to educate, inspire, and motivate others to be the best that they can be. During this unprecedented time, I have dedicated my time to motivate young persons from across the world to be more proactive. I have entered on a three-dimensional program which involves youth advocacy, investing, and developing our young people from different walks of life. Formed a global youth network on climate change and health. Our vision during this period is to give young persons the opportunity to participate in a global movement and dialogue and trail hands together for a healthier future. We have 18 youth ambassadors from as far away as Afghanistan to Trinidad and Tobago who have dedicated their time to participate, and we are currently in the final stages of planning a global youth network summit on climate change and health for early July. From this, we have established a social media campaign to further amplify these youth efforts. The reality is, everyone wants to be financially independent, and COVID-19 is making it extremely hard. And I am happy to say that I have become an investor in the money market. I have always wanted to have multiple streams of income, and I have accomplished this goal during this time and mentor others to have financial success. And I also created a model academy here in Barbados entitled Model Patrol to give young male and female models the opportunity to model internationally. I created virtual model classes to develop the art of modeling for many aspiring models in Barbados. Overall, the plight of COVID-19 remains nothing but a plight. It is up to you as the individual to always have a positive mindset despite everything that is happening around you.
My sewing hobby commenced at an early age when I started out to make clothes. I was successful in making a rectangular mask. We shared the picture with my neighbor and she purchased a few. She then expressed her preference for the circular design mask, which we tried and we mastered. My parents were so enthusiastic about my efforts and shared the pictures of some completed masks on social media. And oh my, sales took off. From that date until present, Chevronet's Bank has completed over 1,000 masks to help in our island's fight against COVID-19. We have shipped masks to our sister island St. Kitts and further afield to St. Martin. I have also done some community outreach by donating some masks to some frontline workers. I'm ably assisted by my loving parents and dear cousins who showed their commitment along with me. What started off as a simple request is now an unexpected full-blown hobby/business. Thank you to those who have supported Chevronet's brand, and we look forward for more adventures.
My name is Taijong Wade, a 14-year-old citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. During the COVID-19 state of emergency, our movement was restricted and schools were forcibly closed. Having very little to do, I decided to engage in a number of activities that are outside of my usual routine. They are farming and volunteerism. I started 2 gardens at 2 different locations. Even though the gardens required constant care and attention, just like babies, when they produced crops, I felt very happy that my hard work actually paid off. I soon recognized that planting crops is not only a good way to save and to make money, but it's also a good way to use my free time wisely. Through farming, I learned the value of patience, determination, and dedication. I also developed a love for volunteerism. During the curfew days, I assisted an elderly person in my community who is a livestock farmer. Having recognized that he was struggling a bit with the caring of his animals, I was motivated to give of my time to assist him. This quickly became a daily routine for me. We are now close friends. He tells me every day how appreciative he is of my assistance. His remarks makes me feel very good about myself. I vowed to continue to help not only him, for other elderly persons in my community. I learned the core value of being helpful. I'm excited about my future as it relates to farming and volunteerism, since I was always deemed as a lazy boy. My newfound skills and interests have taught me the importance of being industrious and responsible. My outlook on life has changed positively. I will continue to plant crops and help the elderly persons in my community. I would also encourage my peers to become involved. There is definitely something good that can result from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Just over 2 months ago, I got the much dreaded call that I had contracted the virus. When I first got the news, I honestly felt as though it was the end with all the bad news surrounding the virus. One of the hardest parts when I got the news was not being able to get support from my family, as I needed to be distanced from them to avoid them getting it too. Later that day, I was picked up in a van by people in hazmat suits to be taken to the Paragon isolation facility, where I would call home and what I would never thought spend 68 days in. When I arrived, I was in a bad mental state, but that was soon lifted when I met the nurses who cared after me. All I could think about is how kind and warm these nurses were in such a bad situation. From my own eyes, I have seen the destruction this virus can cause to families, and it is so good to say that we can prevent that. I'm going to end my speech with a new favorite quote of mine that I found during my time in isolation that really got me thinking deeper. It states, "You don't drown by falling into the river, you drown by staying submerged in it." What this means to me is, even in these hard times, that no matter what life throws at you and how many times you feel defeated, that by staying strong, hopeful and determined, you will see it to the end of that challenge and finish it. I spent 68 days in isolation thinking that it would never end, but truth is I never gave up. Part of me thought that this experience would never end and that this virus will win, but I saw it through to the end, and I'm so thankful to say that I can live to see another day. I want to thank the Pan American Health Organization and the World Health Organization for my time to be able to speak to about my story today. I want to continue to thank the doctors and the government of Barbados for their hard work and their success in combating such a terrible disease. And thank you to each and every one of those people that were there for me through this hard time. Whether you are combating this virus at this moment or if you're at home, please stay strong and hopeful and know that better days are in fact ahead. Continue to be healthy.
And I listened to everyone that spoke before, the words of the minister, the rectors of youth, and the young people that as well. And particularly Andrew, because we've been talking a lot about COVID, and I personally haven't met anyone who's spoken about the realities of having COVID. And so it was really good to hear his account, and also how he has looked at the situation in a positive light. And that is really the core of what I want to speak about, embracing change and hope. And he closed by saying, "You don't drown by falling in the river, but by staying submerged in it." And that's really how I wish to begin. The COVID-19 pandemic has created new challenges for Caribbean youth. And as countries around the world and our nations grapple with its impact, it is undoubtable that the future remains highly uncertain. COVID-19 has drastically changed life as we know it and has shifted our societies from pen and paper to a mad drive towards digital transformation in every sector. Young people are always at the front lines of the adverse effects of crisis, whether economic, social, or political. The damage wrought by the pandemic is still based on rough estimates, which show a substantial rise in youth unemployment, as well as increases in underemployment and poverty. Many of us didn't expect that we would find ourselves attending classes in our pajamas, working from home, avoiding our friends, and with no carnival, and from a very Bajan perspective, no crossover on the horizon. Yet this is the reality that we face with. And instead of viewing 2020 as a lost year, or this pandemic as a hindrance, it is important that we see the opportunities for young people and how through hope we can realize the potential it offers for change. Therefore, how do we adapt, and where should our focus and energies be placed as we face a new world and welcome new possibilities? Today I want to give you 5 pillars: education, well-being and health, employment and entrepreneurship, tech and innovation. And these should be bolstered by participation, collaboration, and so as to allow for the adjustment and adaptation, once again, to the new normal. According to a report published by Dell Technologies and authored by the Institute for the Future and a panel of 20 tech, business, and academic experts from around the world, 85% of the jobs that will exist in 2030 haven't even been invented yet. Therefore, as countries and institutions around the region focus on online learning, we cannot place old wine in new skin, but instead should use this opportunity to craft an education system focused on the 4 C's of the 21st century marketplace. These are communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical reflection. How do we enhance these? So I'm saying that it's really important that we take advantage of the online courses offered by many of the reputable universities and institutions. And you can find those on edX, Coursera. Harvard has offered courses, and other institutions have also opened up their resources so that young people and persons in general can access them. And you want to gain skills in coding, digital literacy, and as well as the new languages in preparation for an online and even more interconnected world. Because the truth is that when COVID-19 ends, when they give the final all clear, we won't go back to life as normal. There will be a new normal. In a time when being social means not being physical, and quarantine, social distance, and isolation are at the center of everyday thought, health and well-being should be prioritized. Young people are very much at risk of catching COVID-19, similar to what was said before. And while we may be less affected by its impact, knowing its risk as well as how to protect ourselves and our loved ones is important. Just as important is the need to take care of mental well-being and of mind. And originally when I was told that I would work from home, I said, okay, I have a little more freedom, it's a little more comfortable and a little less strenuous. I won't have to worry about hustling from meeting to meeting. It'll give me time to slow down a bit. And I'm not certain who else would have believed that, but I was really wrong. Because the barriers provided by the previous structure of daily routine have been eroded. And often I find that there's a much greater demand on my time. So I will have an 11 o'clock meeting, and then I'll have a 1 o'clock meeting. And sometimes between those two, I don't even have time to stop or have lunch or anything like that because of how quickly they're all happening. And so it is important that as we prepare for the new normal, that we set new routines, boundaries, and limit how others access our time and our space. Same way that we took time to unwind the fact that we are working from home or any of these things, we should also still ensure that we have that time. It is also important that the stigma surrounding psychologists and psychiatrists, as well as accessing mental health services, be addressed and dismantled. The reality is that the added stress from new normal can seriously increase suicide rates, substance abuse, and alcohol consumption, which was already high in the Eastern Caribbean as well as the entire region. Normalizing use of these services by young people is important, and governments must also ensure that these services are available in a quality manner. E-health and virtual health services must be explored in the region to ensure the best income, because the truth is that it's no longer just as simple as walking into the hospital. There's so much happening now. And sometimes going to the hospital perhaps can be even more dangerous than staying at home and accessing the e-health services. A new normal may also come with sneakers and a yoga mat as well as diet plans in order to stay healthy and avoid an eating healthy pattern. The pandemic has proven time and time again, and studies show that people with strong immune systems and other non-communicable diseases and no non-communicable diseases are less likely to be badly affected. Now we use unemployment, which is the fourth pillar, was already at third pillar was already at alarmingly high rates in some countries. For example, in Barbados, youth unemployment is more than the national, it's twice is more than twice the national unemployment level. And innumerable young people now within the COVID pandemic have been left without a means of income, and for many homes, this has had a disastrous effect on their means to secure the necessities as well as take care of their expenses. It is important that persons who are unemployed spend this time honing skills or acquiring new skills to access viewpoint improvement opportunities. Entrepreneurs should use the resources and access the limited information to transition businesses online and adapt to the new environment. Solving problems is the way that new businesses thrive. What is the problem, and how can you solve it, and how do you monetize it? This leads me to the pillar of tech and innovation. Fourth pillar, the need for us to respond to the challenges of COVID by opportunities in tech. How do we create solutions to the new challenges or to the old challenges which the pandemic has made even more acute? The hackathon, which CREATE, Caribbean Regional Youth Council, and the Commonwealth Youth Council are partners on, but led by Next Gen Creators, CREATE starts, and I invite everyone to check out the hackathon. Recently in discussion, I learned that in Africa, persons were working to create an app that notified you when persons were too close. And so using the things that you know and the resources you now have access to, create and utilize technology to create things that work for you and for your society. Sign up and take full advantage of tech platforms, and hopefully COVID-19 is the push that gets our governments more invested in governance, and we can get services and access services online. Finally, fifth pillar, partnership and collaboration. The response to COVID-19 and our recovery will depend heavily on us working together. Public and private sector, young and old, men and women, rich and poor, we are only as strong as our collective resilience. For young people, that means that entrepreneurs should collaborate to share information about their products and services. Collaboration is the new currency. For activists and advocates, our actions and voices are stronger together than individually. Let us craft solutions and propose what the policy should be included in the new normal together.
The 5 pillars for action presented as the key elements for young people in adjusting to the new normal are very well noted. Health and well-being, education, employment and entrepreneurship, information and technology and innovation, and finally partnership and collaboration. We note that these are a summary of a broader consultation conducted previously. The experiences shared by young people were very well motivating and inspirational, and set the standards for other young people to be guided for motivation and innovation. The views, experiences, and positions presented in this meeting are very well received and will serve as a framework for engagement with young people in the future.
I think that the entire dialogue has been very productive, and one that I'm truly impressed and I feel a sense of hope and admiration of the work that our young people are doing throughout the region. I must say I want to thank every one of you for taking the time to be here. I want to express my gratitude to Honorable Sansha Bradshaw, the Minister of Education, Technology, Vocational Training, and leader of the government business in Barbados. Thank you for taking the time off your serious schedule to be with us and sharing some of the best practices that Barbados is currently involved in, and as well as giving us a listening ear. But we also want to thank you for the time that you have given us today. And I want to thank as well everyone, those that would have shared the inspirational stories. I was really impressed and as well really admired. Andrew Rose, your story of resilience, your story of how you overcome COVID as a young person. And sometimes we believe as youth we are immune to those viruses, but you have showed us that that we, as you have went through it, we can go through the challenges and emerge strong. As you rightly said that in your quote that you don't drown by staying in the water, but being submerged. This was really inspiring. And Ashley, your work as well. I want to say thank you for your time. And everyone, going through the entire list will take some time, but I was really impressed, and I thank you so much for being here this afternoon and sharing your stories and as well inspiring the young persons who is online. And to the audience, thank you as well for tuning in. And the next session, we'll definitely have a next session as it relates to young people and the dialogue of adjusting the new normal.
We are PAHO and we care.